because Democrats all of a sudden decided to forget that all of their states are gerrymandered to hell. Why I think this is interesting and important is because it's one of the few exogenous shocks that's going to make it very hard for me to predict what I think is going to happen in the midterms. What happens to Act Blue is one of them. What happens with all this criminal stuff is another one of them. What happens with the economy is another one of those. It's really hard to look at a D+4 generic ballot and say, well, with all that stuff on the table, this is how it's going to play out. And obviously, one of the reasons that we asked the question is just tracking, so we can see if it changes over time. But everybody's asking me, well, what's going to happen? I don't really freaking know at this point. At this point, if nothing changes, the Democrats are going to pick up seats. It's probably going to be enough to win the majority, unless the Republicans do something. And right now, the most clear thing is to redistrict. And so what's happening is there's this big fight in Texas, and I haven't been following it too closely, but they do this every once in a while, is the Democrat state legislators in Texas just skip town, disappear, prevent a quorum. Apparently there's a flaw in the Texas Constitution where basically if the Democrats are going to lose a vote, they can just decide not to show up and there won't be a quorum. And so they can't get that thing voted, so they're running to Illinois, they're running to New York, they're hiding all over the place. And Abbott and Paxton have been out there saying that they're going to hunt these people down and throw them in jail, maybe give them a class 2 felony. So that's really wild when a very prominent and powerful Republican state is out there threatening to arrest the opposing legislators for standing in the way of the legislative process. What's wild to me is how Barack Obama is framing it. We can't lose focus on what matters right now. Republicans in Texas are trying to gerrymander district lines to unfairly win 5 seats in next year's midterms. This is a power grab that undermines our democracy. And so it's weird for him to come out and just say this. And obviously, he's vocal on Twitter, but not that vocal. But he's making a pretty strong stance on this. And my assessment is that Barack Obama probably desperately wants the Democrats to regain control of the House right now because of all of the things that could stand in the way of criminal accountability for his subordinates. It's probably all the stuff that Democrats could do if they retook the House. And what's hilarious is, again, I don't think there's any ratios yet, but all of the top liked comments are talking about how Obama himself benefited from a Democrat gerrymandering in Illinois in 2001. Oh, any comments on this Illinois gerrymandering? Democrats cheat in every election, especially using legals. Don't get me started on gerrymandering. I mean, it's, everybody's just dumping on him. Texas is already gerrymandered. This is what they're trying to correct. So, okay, Bricksuit aptly pointing out, maybe a counter argument, but it's hilarious because this is I think there's a level of very personal implications here of Obama. I don't think we need to watch this clip. I watched it. It's pretty uncomfortable. This is a December 16th interview from 2016 of Obama. And this is right after the December 9th date, I think it was, where they were ordered to fabricate the intelligence community assessment. I believe that's the timeline. But Mays does a pretty good job summarizing the very frightful implications of this interview just based on the stuff we've recently heard. Almost everything Obama says is in direct contradiction to the intelligence report on the election that he had just received. The majority of this interview was spent discussing Russia's election interference to help Trump. We now know that Obama had just received a report informing them that that did not happen. He's out there on tape lying to Americans about this. It's really crazy. It was extremely obvious throughout the entire interview that Obama was lying and that he knew the significance of what he was doing. Obama finished the interview, left, and returned to talk about a new intelligence assessment that would be dropping before Trump's inauguration. He was priming the media to be on the lookout for the bogus report that he had just asked for. And the media obviously was slathering to comply, to literally partner in this seditious conspiracy to undermine Trump's presidency. It's impossible to overstate the magnitude of what Obama was doing during this interview. And of course, he turned to NPR to help him do his dirty work, which I guess is going to get less money now from the federal government. So that's cool. I'm just trying to wrap my head around the implications here because, people have accused Trump of lying before and they've had hoaxes, but almost all of them have been clipped videos taken out of context or situations where there's no clear smoking gun. But literally, we're talking about the Obama intelligence agencies. Obama was president. He was in charge of these intelligence agents. His own intelligence agents created intelligence that he's on record as having received that stated factual evidence contrary to what he's saying on video here. It's a smoking gun. What does it mean? How important is it going to be? But I don't know. I think that this is going to be a big deal, though, because I think we're going to see more. I think it's going to become more damning. And right now, the only thing I see about it is not MSNBC talking about it. It's this stuff on Reddit politics, right? It's like they're talking about the districting plan. They're going to talk about how Texas is declaring war. They're going to shill. They're going to try and focus on the things that Trump's doing that are anti-democratic to project, to refocus America, to deflect on this. And I don't think it's going to work. I think this is just going to build and grow. I just wanted to also look at how Axios is covering this, though, because it kind of ties it all together, in my opinion. It's not just about what Republicans in Texas are doing, but it's about what Axios says that Democrats are doing. And I think we all know that what Axios means is what they want Democrats to do more of. So Democrats go nuclear in the redistricting arms race. Just the phrasing there, just the way they talk about that is pretty crazy. They're really drawing attention to this. Big story. Top Democrats are speaking and acting in increasingly existential terms over the audacious Trump-backed push to redraw Texas's congressional map ahead of the 2026 midterms. And I really don't want to fall into the trap of saying that every next election is existential. But Axios here, the same Axios that got the DOJ document saying that the case was closed, nothing to see here on Epstein, that same Axios is using very existential terms. They're framing this 2026 fight. Really, I mean, this is pretty incredible the way they're talking about it. Why it matters, the proposed Texas map is designed to net the GOP up to 5 House seats, potentially enough to decide the majority for President Trump's Republicans in his final 2 years in office. For many Democrats, this moment is an inflection point in the party's Trump-era identity crisis. This moment here, where Texas is trying to redraw these districts. One that could determine whether fighters or folders carry the torch into 2028. So they're saying if Democrats fight, then they'll carry the torch into 2028. If they fold, then Republicans will. Very, very interesting way to frame it. Putting words in many Democrats' mouths. This is a war. We are at war. And that's why the gloves are off. And I say, bring it on. New York Governor Kathy Hochul declared at a press conference Monday, accusing Texas Republicans of a legal insurrection. The Democrats are the ones that are preventing a quorum so that the Republicans, according to the state constitution, can conduct, I think, mid-decade redistricting. I think that it's literally the process they're following. And so she's lying to the public and saying that we're at war. Very hostile rhetoric. Zoom in, more than 50 Democratic lawmakers fled Texas on Sunday, fanning out to deep blue Illinois, New York, and Massachusetts, to prevent the GOP-controlled legislature from voting on the new map. Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott has threatened them with daily $500 fines, felony bribery charges if the fines are paid for by donations, and the possibility of removal for office. The Texas State House issued civil arrest warrants for the Democrats who fled the state, though the warrants are only enforceable inside Texas. Then here's Gavin Newsom. Can't refuse an opportunity to stand up on his soapbox. The governor of Texas is threatening to remove democratically elected officials from office because they have refused to rig an election for Donald Trump. Now, is that a very accurate way of putting it? I don't think so. Zoom out. Outside Texas, key Democratic governors have launched an aggressive counteroffensive to try to neutralize the GOP's redistricting push. Aggressive counteroffensive. Again, very militaristic words. In California, Newsom is eyeing a November special election that would sideline the state's independent redistricting commission and ask voters to approve a new legislator drawn map favoring Democrats. So wait a minute. He's going to sideline the state's independent redistricting commission, and he's saying that Republicans in Texas are rigging an election for Donald Trump? Make it make sense, folks. In New York, Hochul said Democrats have no choice but to pursue a constitutional amendment to authorize new maps. So in their own set of laws, they can't compete enough with Republicans, but they're at war. So let's at least try to get a constitutional amendment, okay? Though it wouldn't appear on the ballot until 2027 at the earliest. Oh, so sad. Sorry. In Illinois, where the congressional map is already heavily gerrymandered, okay. Governor Pritzker has vowed to protect fleeing Texas Democrats and left the door open to future revisions of the state maps. Between the lines, Newsom, who's made no secret of his presidential ambitions, I don't think he's going to win, has openly accused Trump of rigging the midterms and suggested California could redraw its map to eliminate all 9 GOP-held states. Now, California is really, really Democrat. But remember, in 2021, 38% of the state voted to recall Gavin Newsom. And the state has moved right since then. And so that would be kind of wild for a state to be like, just call it 45% Republican, 45% Trump supporting, and have zero legislative representation in Congress. Zero. His push for a referendum is just 3 months. In just 3 months will be a legal and political high-wire act that, if successful, could become the defining achievement in Gavin Newsom's career, making everybody forget about the LA fires. If this works and the Dems win the House in 26 by less than 5 seats, I saved us from a second MAGA Republican trifecta is a hell of a platform for Newsom to run for president on in 2028. Tweeted Democratic pollster Adam Carlson. That's funny. I guess we'll be watching this. I guess he's going to be the leader of the insurrection or whatever. Pro-democracy, pro-anti-democracy, whatever. I don't make it doesn't make any sense. The intrigue, Hochul, who is running for re-election in 26, has emerged as an unlikely face of the Democrat resistance. It's also militaristic. She called Monday for disbanding New York's independent redistricting commission, so same thing as Newsom, and embracing partisan hardball, telling reporters that she's tired of fighting this fight with my hands tied behind my back. So Democrats in Texas break the rules, and Democrats in other states get so mad that they say they're going to break the rules too. That's what's going on. I cannot ignore that the playing field has changed dramatically, and shame on us if we ignore the fact and cling tight to the vestiges of the past. So this is a whole lot of Democrats getting really riled up and saying they're going to break more rules, because I guess they think that that's the only way that they're going to win. Maybe they don't trust my D+4 generic ballot. I don't know. Maybe they think that that's not enough. Maybe they're concerned about the Act Blue fundraising. Maybe they're concerned about election integrity. I don't know. But based on reading this, think Democrats are scared. And I think we're seeing kind of their plan sort of laid out here. It's going to be to increase the militaristic rhetoric, further try to paint Republicans as anti-democratic, and use this to deflect, I guess, about the crossfire hurricane thing. And you're going to see new leaders defined. Hochul and Newsom now are being talked about very favorably. He could carry the torch in the 2028. The bottom line, both sides are keenly aware that a Democratic victory in 26 would grind Trump's agenda to a halt and potentially lead to his third impeachment. Correct. He knows he's going to lose in the midterms, and we have the opportunity to de facto end the Trump presidency in less than 18 months. That's, yes, they do. That's what's at stake. So Democrats are playing hardball. And it's like, okay, I guess some Republicans in Texas are playing hardball back. Some. Is it enough? I don't know. This is the problem. Like, it's, I think it is an existential election. And so I hate to say that again, but the Democrats say it. And so I wonder what they're going to do.